something big is happening that every UK pensioner needs to be aware of. By the end of November, HMRC could begin deducting as much as £1,049 from some state pensioners' income. This development comes as part of a broader financial strategy being discussed by government advisors and economic experts. The move is tied to new proposals that could reshape how tax and income systems work for both workers and retirees across the country. At the centre of the debate is a proposal from the Resolution Foundation, one of the UK's most influential think tanks. The group has suggested that the Chancellor introduce a 2p rise in income tax, while at the same time reducing national insurance contributions by 2p. On paper, this might sound like a simple swap, but in practice, it could have very different effects depending on your income type. The idea is part of the upcoming fiscal statement scheduled for November 26, a major announcement expected to outline the Labour government's financial plans going forward. The Foundation believes that this tax switch could raise an additional £6 billion for the Treasury. Supporters argue that the move would help fund essential public services, ease the cost of living burden for lower earners, and strengthen confidence in the economy. However, while this proposal aims to be balanced, there's a key detail that has raised eyebrows: pensioners and landlords could end up paying more. Because pensioners do not pay national insurance, they would not benefit from the 2p cut, but they would still be affected by the 2p income tax increase. In short, while working-age employees might see little to no change in their take-home pay, many retirees would face higher tax deductions. The Foundation's research director, James Smith, explained the reasoning behind the plan. He said the UK faces a period where tax rises of around £26 billion are likely to be needed. According to him, doing so in a targeted way could strengthen the economy, support public services, and even help reduce child poverty. The proposal, he added, aims to focus on prices, payslips, and poverty reduction, three key areas that directly affect the everyday lives of millions. Still, not everyone is convinced this approach is fair. Critics have pointed out that pensioners have already faced increasing costs through inflation and rising household bills, and that this new plan could put even more pressure on those living on fixed incomes. For a pensioner earning around £35,000 a year, this change would mean paying roughly £449 more in taxes annually. For those with higher retirement incomes, such as £65,000 per year, the additional cost could reach £1,049. By contrast, an employee earning the same amount would likely see no overall change in their tax bill, since the rise in income tax would be offset by the reduction in national insurance. This has sparked a conversation about fairness and the treatment of older citizens who have already contributed through decades of work and taxes. Some within the government are cautious about how such a policy would be received. One minister reportedly stated that if the country goes down this route, it must ensure that ordinary people actually feel better off as a result. The goal, they said, should be to deliver better public services or a visible reduction in the cost of living, rather than simply increasing taxes for the sake of balancing numbers. Another government source expressed concern that the public might only hear the message that taxes are rising for the sake of economic stability, which could be politically damaging. They argued that any new taxes must come with clear communication about the benefits, such as improvements in healthcare, education, or infrastructure, so that taxpayers see value in what they are contributing. Yet, despite the debate, economic experts agree that the government faces difficult choices. With inflation still weighing on household budgets, public spending demands rising, and the need to restore confidence in the UK's financial outlook, some form of revenue increase may be unavoidable. The Resolution Foundation's proposal is seen as one possible compromise, a way to raise funds without placing the full burden on working-age employees. It's worth noting that this discussion comes at a time when many pensioners are already navigating financial pressures. Food prices, utility bills, and council tax have all climbed significantly over the past 2 years. Even though inflation has started to cool slightly, the effects of recent cost increases are still being felt by households across the UK. For many retirees, any new tax rise could make it even harder to manage fixed incomes that haven't kept up with the rising cost of living. The Treasury has not officially confirmed whether it will adopt the Resolution Foundation's recommendations, but insiders suggest that the upcoming fiscal statement will include some form of tax adjustment. Observers believe that the Chancellor will aim to strike a balance between raising revenue and protecting the most vulnerable groups. Analysts also highlight that while the 2p switch might sound modest, its overall economic effect could be significant. The proposed changes could alter the incentives for saving, investing, and retirement planning. Some financial experts are advising pensioners to review their income sources and ensure that their tax planning is up to date, particularly if they have multiple sources of pension or investment income. The broader question remains, what is the fairest way to raise funds for essential services while maintaining public trust? Supporters of the proposal say it ensures that everyone contributes, while those who are still in work receive a small relief through reduced national insurance. Critics argue that it unfairly targets pensioners, many of whom are already facing financial strain and who have no national insurance relief to offset the impact. Public reaction so far has been mixed. Some working people have welcomed the idea of a system that encourages employment and reduces the burden on pay packets. Others worry that any form of tax increase, even if modest, could slow down consumer spending and affect economic recovery. Among pensioners, there is growing concern that they are once again being asked to shoulder an unfair share of financial responsibility. For now, what's certain is that the coming fiscal statement on November 26 will be closely watched. It could set the tone for the next stage of the government's economic plan and determine how much people across different income brackets will contribute in the months ahead. Financial commentators suggest that this may not be the last time such a proposal appears. The ongoing challenge of balancing public finances in a post-pandemic, high-inflation world means that future budgets are also likely to feature tough choices. With public expectations high and the cost of government borrowing still elevated, the pressure on the Treasury to find sustainable revenue sources remains intense. While there's still uncertainty about which parts of the proposal will make it into official policy, the key message for pensioners is clear: staying informed is crucial. Understanding how income tax and pension systems interact can help retirees prepare for any changes that might affect their take-home income. Financial advisors often recommend reviewing tax codes, pension payments, and potential allowances that could help offset any additional tax burdens. At the same time, the debate has reignited an important conversation about how society supports older citizens. Pensioners form one of the most vital segments of the population, having contributed to the country's growth for decades. Many believe that any new fiscal measures should ensure that retirees are treated with fairness, dignity, and recognition for their lifelong contributions. As the end of November approaches, all eyes will be on the Chancellor's statement. The question many will be asking is simple: will this plan deliver the fair and balanced approach that the government has promised, or will it place new financial stress on those who can least afford it? Regardless of what's announced, this discussion has already highlighted the delicate balance between raising funds and maintaining public confidence. It underscores how interconnected the economy, taxation, and everyday life truly are, and how decisions made in Westminster can ripple across millions of households across the UK. For now, pensioners and workers alike are waiting to see what changes lie ahead and what these will mean for their income, spending power, and financial future in the months to come.